So it's been 2 weeks since I set up this particular long mini. This is the one I showed on my last video. I am giving them a little bit of smoke because they're quite strong and I don't want them to get too fired up. So there was originally just 6 combs in here, the rest was foundation, so they've done a lot of good work in the last 2 weeks. We've had very good conditions here. It's a bit of a flow on, and plenty of pollen coming in. It's just a few bees on that feeder, so I'm just taking it back to the location they're from and just tap them out on the ground. They don't need the feeder in for now, so I'll leave that out. It's just a funny little comb where it was touching the feeder. Now I've noticed there's this one comb in the middle that's quite fat at the top, so I'm actually going to take the opportunity to put that right at the back. See there, it's mainly brood, but that top honey band is a bit fatter than the rest and makes it a bit awkward to position up against another comb, so I'll put that bulging part at the back out of the way. It's the only thing about these hives with the set spacings, you don't have the flexibility to space the combs other than just the frame rests. So this is a fresh frame, was foundation and just a new comb with brood in it. First round of brood this comb's had in it, so it's very soft and fragile. But it's a good opportunity to put these sidebars on. There's a bit of variation in the skewers. Some of them are quite tight to get on, but others go on really easily. This one's obviously a tighter one. And the main idea of the sidebars is to just stop the side attachment, stop the combs getting attached to the side of the box. This one's a little bit fat at the top too, but I've just got to spin it around to get it to fit in there nicely. Another frame of brood there. Queen's actually on this frame, but she's a little black queen. You probably can't see her. Sort of close to my right hand there. It's just a frame of sort of capped brood and new young brood eggs. Yeah, I find these little black sort of Carniolan queens, they're not as big as the Italians. They're not as sort of flash looking, but they're certainly quite hard working, vigorous little queens. You really can't argue with what she's done in this colony. Just a little bit of comb there on the side of the box. Got to scrape that down before I can get this comb in. It's a little bit of a wavy comb, that one, but generally they build nice straight combs. I'm not sure what happened with that one, but it still fits in there okay. It's another big frame of brood. So this nuke really is exceptionally strong. It needs to be split. So I have done some grafting this afternoon. So as soon as those cells are ready, I will split this one, probably make a couple of splits off it. So I'm starting to like these sidebars. They make the combs a lot easier to handle. I have had one of these combs break on me. It sort of broke where the pollen band is, just below the honey band, between the honey and the brood. It just snapped clean through there when I was handling it. So these sidebars will prevent that happening. They also mean that you can put a frame down and put it down on its side and lean it against the box or something else while you're working through the hive, which is handy. So you can see this next frame coming up is black plastic. So the only thing I've done in this hive since I set it up was I've been in and put this black plastic foundation one in. I thought the conditions are quite good, so they probably draw it out. And I put heaps of wax on it and they have drawn it out, and the queen's laid in there. There's young larvae in there. But yeah, they've drawn it out really well. Now the reason I've done this is, well, it's just another chapter in the experiment, I suppose, to see what it's like to have plastic foundation in these combs. But the other reason is, if I have a really nice queen in one of these and I want to graft from her, I can put one of these plastic ones in there and then I can graft out of it. The natural comb ones are a bit tricky to graft in because the Chinese grafting tool sort of gets snagged in the bottom of the cell, whereas the plastic foundation's a lot nicer to graft out of, and you can see the bottom of the cell a lot better too. So I've got another one here I just made up this morning. So I just cut the right size and drilled a couple of little holes and just did a couple of little loops of wire, tie wire, over the skewer. And then I painted on wax with a little paintbrush and painted the end bars with the wax so they'd stick to the foundation, so it's nice and solid. And hopefully they get right onto that and draw it out like they did with the other one. So another frame of brood here. I reckon I could comfortably make a couple of splits out of this. Which I will be doing that as soon as I've got a couple of queen cells ready. So here's a fresh comb. It's got its first round of brood in it. So it's very soft and delicate. It's a good opportunity to put the sidebars on it. And I'll just move it forward a couple of spots and put some foundation in between it and the last one. I've also got this another little fresh comb here. I'll put the sidebars on it now, but hopefully they keep drawing and attach down the sides. So I'll put that one a couple of spaces further in, and hopefully the queen comes along and lays in that one. I need to give her something to do for the next few days while I'm waiting for these queen cells. There's been reports of a few swarms around here in the last few days, so the conditions are obviously good enough that the bees are thinking about swarming. So just need to give this hive something to do for a few days till I'm ready to split. And then I'll put this little funny one at the front. Hopefully they make something out of that. So as I'm putting this plastic back on, I just wiggle it around and tap it down to get the bees out of the way so I don't crush too many. And I'll put the lid on. Now I'm going to take you over and show you the position where the hive is, and we'll watch the foragers all pile back in the hive. So it's just been out of position for about 10 minutes, and we'll see how many foragers were out in the field. So here they are, all waiting to get back in. Probably doesn't show up as well on the camera, but there's lots of little pollen baskets there. We've had good summer rain, so there's plenty of weeds and things around that are producing pollen. And here they come. Try and count them and let me know what you got. So that's one advantage of taking a mini up to the table and working it there. All the field bees just go back to the location and they don't hang around and be a nuisance while you're trying to do your inspection. Anyway, thanks guys. We'll see you again soon.